All right, let's get started. Today's video, we're going to talk about the FCS and how the FCS playoffs are shaping up. So for you all who don't know anything about the FCS, in the FCS, you have automatic bids, 10 automatic bids, and then you have 14 at large. Typically, the 10 automatic bids are conference champions, those with the best record in the conference, and the next best teams in their ranking. Sometimes that includes an HBCU, and I believe the Ivy League is not participating. However, if an Ivy League team goes undefeated, I believe they do have an opportunity to opt in as an at-large bid. I am not 100% sure about that because that does change every year. Now, these are the leagues that give the automatic bids. UAC, Big Sky, Big South, CAA, Missouri Valley Conference, the NEC, the Patriot League, the Pioneer League, SoCon, and Southland. And as I mentioned earlier, sometimes the Ivy and the MEAC and SWAC participate. The MEAC and SWAC are the HBCU conference, and the Ivy League, that is your Brown, Columbia, Princeton, Yale, Harvard. So far, Mercer's the only squad that has come close to clinching. Keep in mind, some of those teams that are ranked are very close to clinching as well, and they have a high probability of clinching a playoff berth. And here we have the FCS coaches poll. This is where most of the teams that are probably going to go to the playoffs. Similar to the FBS, top-ranked teams make a playoff appearance. However, some teams may not be ranked very high in the coaches poll, but they are a conference champion or they won the most games in the conference. Therefore, they get an automatic bid from those 10 conferences I mentioned earlier. If the season stopped today, I would say from 1 through 12 are automatically going. And that is based off of where they're ranked and where they're ranked in the conference. And speaking about conferences, let's talk about the Big Sky. Montana State, numero uno. They are an automatic bid for the Big Sky, and they've won all their games. One of their most impressive wins was against a non-conference FBS opponent. And that was like week 1 or week 2. I believe it was New Mexico. Next up, we got the Big South. Southeast Missouri is the automatic bid for this conference if the season stopped today. And the same thing for the CAA. The automatic bid would be Rhode Island. If the season stopped today, Rhode Island has the best record overall and tied for the best record in conference. So they would get the automatic bid. Now, these two conferences are a bit tricky. The Ivy League sometimes sends people to the playoffs, and the way it's looking, I'm not sure if they will do that. And also, sometimes a MEAC team goes to the playoffs if ranked. But when we review the coaches poll, there is no MEAC school in the rankings. However, there is one HBCU, and we'll get to that later. Now, for the Missouri Valley Conference, this conference has the most championships of FCS. It's basically the SEC of FCS. And North Dakota State would clinch playoffs if the season ended today. They have one loss, and that was against a ranked FBS team, and that was Colorado. The Northeast Conference, the automatic bid as of today, would be Duquesne because they're ranked first. However, they are in a conference tie with RMU. And next is the Patriot League. The automatic bid for the Patriot League as of today, if the season stopped, it would be Holy Cross. And I know that looks weird because they are 4-5 with a losing record, but they are the conference leader at the moment. And for the Pioneer League, it would be Drake University. They're undefeated in the conference, and overall, they're 6-1. Earlier, I mentioned the Southern Conference, or SoCon, and I said Mercer is an automatic bid. And as you can see, they're 5-1 in the conference, and they need one more win to automatically clinch that bid. And the reason behind that is Mercer won the head-to-head with Western Carolina University, which is WCU. Now for the Southland Conference. UIW currently is in the lead, and if the season stopped today, they will go to the playoffs. They're undefeated in the conference, and they have the best overall record, which for FCS purposes doesn't mean as much as a conference record. for the automatic bid conferences. It means more for the teams that do not have the automatic bids. And these are the teams that do not have the automatic bids. The SWAC. The SWAC is the largest HBCU Division I conference. Jackson State is the only HBCU ranked in the top 24, and they're undefeated in the SWAC conference. However, Jackson State must play in a conference championship game and maintain being ranked to go to the playoffs. So typically in the HBCU conferences, the highest ranked team that does not go to the Celebration Bowl will show up in the playoffs. So typically it'll be the third best team. That has been what has happened in the last few years, if the dates do not align. The Celebration Bowl is a huge moneymaker for most HBCUs, so they're definitely going to go. Now for the UAC. ACU right now is leading the conference, and if the conference play stopped, they would be the automatic bid. And that's a quick rundown of the situation in the FCS. FCS football is very convoluted, and it's really hard to explain. There's less teams. However, there's a bigger playoff bracket, and the games mean a little bit more than the FBS. I do think if the FBS moved to the FCS system, things would be a lot more interesting in the FBS. Hopefully, they will take some notes and adjust their system. We'll see what happens.